Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Donkey's Babies from Shrek. And I am going to show you what I've made here, although there are a variety of wing tutorials on the internet you might like to use instead. I'm going to be using a couple of small beads for the eyes, gray bands for the body, and the head and ears, and you can use gray or a brown or a tan. I've got a little bit of black on the hoofs and maroony pinky purple for the wings and the top of the head. You're going to want to have on hand a couple of C-clips, some dental floss or a thin string or wire if you are threading on beads, a hook and holding hook, and your loom in the offset configuration. Now there are going to be some parts in this tutorial where we'll be wrapping bands really tight, and if you have a stronger loom, make sure that's on hand. We'll do this slowly and carefully so we'll try not to break anything, but just a heads up, we'll have some tight pieces. And we're going to do some on the loom and some on the hook. Let's start with our arms. We're going to take 3 black bands, put them on the hook, wrap 1, 2, or 3 times, and we're going to grab a gray band, stretch it, twist it, double it over onto itself, pull the black piece over, and replace the gray back on the hook. Just want to make sure I get all of those. And we're going to do 2 more doubled over single grays. So take a gray, stretch, twist, bring it back onto itself, put it on the end, pull it through, and 1 more time. And you can decide if you want this to be a little bit shorter. I wouldn't recommend going longer though. Second front hoof, arm hoof. Let's take our 3 black bands. On the end of the hook, wrap 1, 2, 3 times, and onto another 3 doubled over single bands. So there is 1, 2, and 3. You can leave this here or put it onto another hook, and we'll make the feet. 3 black bands again, 2, 3, wrap them on the same way, 1, 2, 3, and this is going to go on to 2 gray bands, and then onto 2 more gray bands. Push it down a little bit. If you're worried about mixing up your legs and your arms, just bear in mind that the back hoof's legs are going to be a tiny bit shorter and a little bit looser where the grays. 1 more little foot hoof thing to go, leg to go. 3 black bands, wrap 1, 2, 3 times, and pull onto double gray bands and double gray bands. So 2 bands each time. You can put this on the side. We're going to come to the loom, and we need 2 pink bands, hair colored bands, top center to the top right, and 2 from the top center to the top left. We'll come down on either side with 2 sets of double gray bands. And in the middle we'll go down 3 times with double gray bands. If you're using brown, of course this would be brown instead. It's the color you've chosen for his fur, or her fur. 2 grays from the 3rd peg down on the side to the 4th peg down in the center. Repeat from the opposite direction. And we're going to take 2 grays, come from the 4th center to the 4th right. 2 grays from the 4th center to the 4th left. We want to push these down a little bit and also try to keep them somewhat in order. On either side we want 4 sets of double gray bands to come down the side. So starting at the 4th peg down, we're going to put down 2 bands, 2 bands, 2 bands, and a 4th set of 2 bands. Repeat for the right side, so it will end up at the same place. This is your 8th peg down, I believe. Yeah. So we'll go to the 8th peg down. In the middle row, we're going to come down, I believe it's 3 times, and then we're going to make the tail to add on. Double bands, starting at the 4th peg down. Now, if you don't want to have a tail, because, in all honesty, it's not going to show up that much, it's going to be kind of tucked in at the back, so you don't have to have a tail, but if you're going to make one, I'll show you what we do. 3 gray bands on the end of your hook. Wrap 1, 2, or 3 times. Pull onto 2 gray bands onto another set of double grays, and at this point this is optional. This will make it a little bit thicker there. I took 2 gray bands, wrapped them 1, 2, 3 times on the end, maybe 4 because this is a little loose. Brought one side of the first part of the tail we did over. So you're gonna lift 2 loops of the tail so that this wrapped set goes in the middle, and then this goes onto 2 more bands. We'll try to keep it somewhat in order there. And then onto 2 more bands, and then next, these bands here are gonna go from the 7th peg down in the center to the 8th peg down in the center. Just like so, you can kind of press it down a little. 2 gray bands going down diagonally from that 8th center peg to the 9th side peg, and same thing to the opposite side. We're gonna put a cap band on the 8th peg down in the middle, so take a single gray, put it over. We're gonna stretch and twist 1, 2, 3 times. You can do it an extra one if you want it to be a little tighter. Let's put on some holding bands now. We're gonna use doubled over singles. So take a gray, or you can use single bands. It's kind of up to you at this point. Single, twist, stretch, twist, and bring it across your 5th pegs down. If you don't want to double it over, you just stretch it across like so. I'm gonna follow do this the way I did my first one. So I'm gonna double over the next one underneath, and the next underneath that. Now we've got our back paws handy towards the front of the hook. These are the ones that were double bands, but not doubled over tight. And I'm gonna separate the 2 sides and place 2 of the loops on the 7th peg down on the side, and the other 2 will go onto the 8th peg down on the side, which is the last peg we used. This way the legs will stick out just a little bit to the side. Other leg, same thing, opposite side. Now our arms are going to be a little different from what you might normally see. I'm going to go to that top doubled over holding band and pull it off. I'm going to transfer both of the arms onto that band, and then replace the band from one side to the other. Pull the arms apart a little, get my hook into that doubled over band, and then pull it back up so it's still in a triangle, but there's a little tension here under the arms. Alright, next up, let's do, I think that's good for the body, let's do a little work for our face. So for the eyes, I'll show you, was trying to think which way I want to do this. I guess we can, yeah, we'll do the eyes next. If you're using bands, I would suggest an olive green. Take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times on your hook, pull it down, repeat. Pull both of those onto a single gray. I'll show you how to attach it, and then I'll show you how to do this with the bead. If your bead has a larger hole, it's going to go across the second peg down to the second peg down and bring it up over the center like we did with the arms. So you can use bands, you can use white bands and green bands together if there's a way to do it that you like. If you're using beads with a smaller hole, we put them onto a piece of floss or needle and thread, press it through a gray, back over and back through from the opposite direction. Now I've chosen the blues this time because I think they're very bright, and unfortunately I don't have any nice green beads right now. First time around I used little white beads and I drew the pupils on, so that's an option as well. Whatever kind of eyes you've used, they are going to go from the second peg down on one side to the second peg down on the other, just as I showed you with the banded ones. And we're going to get the band that they're on to loop up over the second peg down in the center. Now we're kind of into the tricky type part. We're going to do the ears, and you might, you know what, I'm going to show you an easier method first, and then I'll show you the way that I did it, which I think looks a little nicer. So this is one way that you could do it. Take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, pull it onto 3 bands or 5, you can decide how thick you want it to be. Pull it onto 2, and then stretch it from the top side peg to the second peg down on the side. The kind of ear I'm doing, I found this in a video by DIY Mommy and her peg, and I think it looks really nice. It's nice and tight, so that's what I'm going to do here with you today. Double over a single, stretch it across in a triangle. I'm just leaving a couple of pegs below. Double over a single, come down once on the side, repeat across the way. I'm going to do one more doubled over single, and we're going to make an upside down triangle on the bottom. Then we lay a single down from where we started in the middle, comes down once, and then we pull our bottom upside down triangle up and over and loop forward once. Then this is where it gets kind of dicey, tight and dicey. We need a cap band on the end, so very bottom here. 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't make it too much tighter than that. And because we've doubled over this band, there are 2 parts to it. So we're going to reach under the cap, grab one part, very carefully wiggle it around and onto the side peg. It's very, very tight, so be careful. I'm going to loop up once on that same side and then loop into the middle, grabbing the doubled over band. Now before I go further, I want to take some of the tension off by releasing the pieces on that side. Then we'll go for the other part of that doubled over holding band. Doubled over band, go under that bottom cap, lift up into the side, and lift up and inwards. Now I'll put the video link for DIY Mommy's pig on my description, because you might find you like the way she shows it better. It is her design, so I will refer you to that if I'm going too fast here. Remove that, and you can move this all at once or a little bit at a time onto the top side peg, or alternately. Curious, did I do this differently the first time around? Can't remember now. Let's do a quick check for you. Nope. I'm going to put all of these loops onto the top side peg. There are a lot, so you might find it's easier to transfer a few at a time. Because I don't want to lose these bands, which is what I seem to be doing. You also have the option of putting half of them on the top side peg down and then bringing the other half to the peg below. That will make it sit more to the side, but I'm not sure. I think that might stretch it out a little differently from what we want. I don't think my cap band was tight enough because it's looking a little loose. There we go. We're going to do one for the other side. Again, if you've done this already, if you've chosen a different method for your ear, you can jump ahead a little bit and keep going. Doubled over triangle, doubled over single into a kind of row down. Another one, so this was the first 3 steps. Upside down triangle, single band down, bring your bottom triangle up and over. Let's just change my camera angle. Hope you can still see this okay. Loop that up once, and then a cap band on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go a little tighter this time. Reach inside and grab one part of the doubled over band, bring it to a side, loop up once, and grab the doubled over band here, bring both parts to the middle, release some tension. I'm going to pull down the other piece so I can see it better, and then loop that up and over to the side. Loop up again and loop to the middle. This part always makes me nervous because there is a lot of tension here. Ease that off, and we're going to put our hook into the topmost peg that we've used for this part. Pull it off, adjust a little, tuck in any loose parts, pull out any loose parts, whatever, and onto the top peg on that upper side. Once again, I feel that I'll do better moving these bands off a few at a time. Let's do it really carefully. You can even put them on one at a time if you want. And we'll put a holding band across the 3rd pegs down. We're done most of the hard parts now. We've got a little to do for the face. Arms are looping up. And honestly, the wings I'm going to show you aren't so bad either. Okay, I think we're going to loop up the body and we'll loop up the body and then we'll make the nose part, the snout. Go to the 8th peg down in the center, under the cap band, grab the 2 bands, they'll be the next ones under there, and they're coming from the side closest to you here. Bring them over. Look for the 2 bottom bands on that side peg. We're going to point the open part of the hook up, push back the bands above, and grab those bottom 2. Oops, up and forward. That's okay. And I'm going to keep going in that direction because that took a little tension off. So let's loop up to the 4th peg down on that side and loop in from there once to the middle. We need to go back under that 8th peg holding band, securing band, I forget what we're calling it now, and get the next 2, and they will be going to the right side. And you can loop up the right side, grab your bottom 2 bands each time, and push back your holding bands to get to them. Loop into the middle from the 4th peg down on the side. Reach in that 8th peg one more time for your bottom 2 and loop them forward. We're going to go straight up to the neck, which is at your 4th peg down. Stop here for a second, make sure those bands are pushed in. If you want, at this point you can loosen up some of the body, or you can wait on that, it doesn't matter. For the nose, there are, again, a couple of ways you can do this. In a second I'll show you the method that I use because I like the way that it's really tight. But you could take 3 or 4 or maybe 3 bands, 5 bands, whatever you'd like. Decide on your thickness, wrap it on your hook. Pull it onto a doubled over single, and then onto a single. You know what? I kind of like this way. I'll show you both ways just in case, but you can stretch that across. The third peg's down. So that is method 1, which I think I'm gonna stick to, but I'll show you this method as well in case you're interested. And both the top and the bottom are going to be done the same. I really do like this way better. I'm glad I thought of trying it. The nose I originally made, it's a doubled over single. Second peg up from the bottom on one side to the bottommost peg in the center. Repeat on the opposite side. Cap it off nice and tight. Loop it up. So I'm giving you this as another option. You can decide which method you like the looks of or which one you find is easier for you to do. And then, as I said, I think I am gonna just keep this, do it this other way that I was just doing. You basically pop this off and pull that onto a single band and stretch it across in the same place. So just so you can see, this one's a little tighter, a little smaller. This one's a little bit broader. You can see for yourself which you prefer. And now I'm going to make another piece as I did the first one. Whichever method you use, I would suggest that you do them both the same way. I've just had a giant knot in there. Bad me. So I'll do this again. I think we did 3 bands wrapped 1, 2, 3 times, pulled onto a single. And, oh, I did a doubled over single, that's right. Almost got it. Yeah, almost got it. Let's wrap that one more time. That's what you get for experimenting. Doubled over single, pull it through onto a single. I'm wondering if this is going to be too puffy, but I think it'll be okay. This is going to go onto the same peg, or same pegs on the side, or you can put them onto, let me check my picture, because you could also put them onto the peg above. I'm just going to lift this one up for now so it's out of the way. Now I'm afraid for the really hard part, we have to find the next 2 bands under all of these on the 4th peg down. You might find it helps to turn your loom to the side or pull some of the bands out as you're looking for them. So yeah, we've got a lot on here. We want, it looks like the first 2 are going to the right. I believe our second 2 are going to the left. And as you get more of them done, it should be a little easier. And the last 2 are going straight up. Now, when you bring these up, I'm gonna lift up the nose, put this on, and let the nose drop down over it, and that way it won't get pinched in between there. You can loop up either side to the top, push back the band with the eyes on it, push back all your holding bands, any and all holding bands. And we're going to loop up the center from the 3rd peg down. Now at this point I'll pop the top part of the mouth over, the snout, and loop up once. Push back the eyes, loop up twice, and let's loop into the center, bottom 2 pinks. Finally, we get to work with another color here. And the other side in. Gonna grab 3 pink bands. If you're trying to save bands, you can always do it with 2. And put your hook through the bands on the top center peg. The open part is facing away from you so that you can grab your 3 and carefully pull them back up while turning your hook so that the open part faces up. Put the other side on and pull the further side over the others and over the top of the hook. Get you to grab this for a minute. You can put it onto a holding hook or a C-clip or just on your finger. Just don't let go because that's what's holding everything together right now. And you can take the rest of your guy off of the loom now. We'll do a couple of brief finishing touches and then I'll show you how to make the wings. And I'll mention now while I remember, if you have used white beads for your eyes, at any point now you can draw on pupils with Sharpies or decorate them as you like. So you can see let's deal with this pink part first. Put your hook back through, pull a pink or a gray piece through it. One side goes over the other to make a slip knot, and you're going to secure this in the back. Not too low down because we want a little bit of a tuft at the top. So on the back side, go under a nearby band, grab that securing loop, pull it through, and onto a C-clip it goes. For the front, press your eyes through. And my arms have gone backwards, so we're going to make a little hole and press those to the front. It's okay, it's elastic band, so it will all stretch back into place. Your tail, you can leave it loose or you can pull it under a couple of bands to keep it from flopping. I think I'm going to leave this one loose for now. Alright, so we are almost done, and as I said, there are a variety of Rainbow Loom tails out there you can try, and I'll show you how to make this kind. So we start at the top. We're using our purpley pink. We're coming down with double bands 4 times on the side closest to you. I think I'm just going to show you how to make one wing and attach, and then I'll let you wing it from there. Now I always forget this first part. Just think this through for 1 second here, so I'm sure that I've given you the right information. Yeah, so we're going to take 2 bands from the top center to the second peg down in the, top side to the second peg down in the center, and 2 bands from there to the second peg down on the side. We're going to return to the first row, coming down diagonally twice, and then make another triangle, come up to the 4th peg down in the center, and then to the 4th peg down on the far side. If you want this to be tighter or longer and more condensed, you can use doubled over bands instead of double bands. Come back down diagonally one more time until you reach your last side set, and cap it off in the 5th side peg. Can wrap it 3 or 4 times, and then we're going to do a doubled over holding band across the second peg down on the side and the second and third pegs down in the middle, and go to the next 2 pegs in the middle and the 4th peg down on the side. So we're doing another inverted triangle. I'm making it sound really complicated. It's not so bad though, really, when you look it up. And we're going to loop up, go under the cap band, grab the top 2 and bring them diagonally upwards to the side and up again. Loop back down until you're back at the first line. Get the next 2 from under that 3rd peg down, a loop upwards diagonally and upwards diagonally to the far end, and come on back down to the beginning. And then we'll go to the 5th peg down on the side, get the bottom 2 and loop straight up. My battery's going, so I might have to pause you for a second here. Single pink, pull it through, secure it, and I'll be right back with you to take this off the loom and put it on the body. So once you've got this secured, you can pull the rest off of the loom using your hook or your finger. And this part we've got on the hook, we're going to go to the back, line it up where we want it, this is the back now, and go under a nearby band, pull it under, put it on a C-clip or on the one you've already got. And you'll do the same with when you put this on for the other side. And towards the middle or the bottom, you can grab another place to pull it through and secure it also on a C-clip. Now, one thing you can do is you can put it on the C-clip and then pull the tail over so that it's a little bit neater. You can weave some of your sections together. I'm just going to place this on the C-clip we've got there. So yeah, I think that's about it. Try and get you a clearer view here. I know the lighting's not great today, but I'll work with what I've got. So here are the babies of Donkey and Dragon from the Shrek series. And I have a number of other Shrek tutorials out. I hope you'll check them out. I'm going to add these to the playlist. And I thank you for watching.